You are listening to part 2 of a 2-part interview with Randy Dixon here on the Cascade Improv podcast.
Hi, this is Chaz Cascus.
This is Paul Furio.
And this is Cascade Improv. And today our guest is the venerable Randy Dixon, who is a world-renowned director, a teacher, an improviser, an actor, has been doing improv for 45 years now and going, and was the artistic director for Unexpected Productions for 35 years. And I could not be more happy to have Randy on. Thank you so much, Randy Dixon.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
And so, as you've done this learning with all these great teachers, for you, where do you sit now in your corner of improv? What are the things that you're championing?
Finding the moment together. Opening your work to spontaneity, connecting with the person, including the audience, on stage, and making that the priority versus the look at me or isn't that funny, kind of thing. It's not entirely accurate or true, but I kind of like the image, which John's done for a while, went through a phase where he said, start your show, first 15 minutes, foolproof games. You know they're going to work. You've done them a million times, right? He said, because then you're demonstrating to the audience, we know what we're doing.
Sure.
Then you can do whatever you want. And then he said, in the last 10 minutes, you pull out a few more of those games so it ends well.
Yeah.
He said, what you do between those two, take chances.
Yeah.
And people don't do that. They tend to play the same.
Yeah.
Play safe. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny. I used to be a musician. I used to be a writing and performing musician. And the theory of doing a live show is the same. Start with some hits.
Right.
Then you do your ballad or your new stuff or the stuff no one knows. But then your last two songs should be 2 big hits, because that's what people are going to walk away with. That's what they're going to remember. And they'll come along with you for that ride in the middle because you built them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want that 1-2 punch at the end.
I saw to name drop.
Please go ahead. You won't be the first in this podcast.
Not that I know them, but we were in Berlin. And a bunch of the Europeans were... David Byrne came to town, and I'm a huge David Byrne fan.
Sure.
Talking Heads, David Byrne. And I said, he's playing in Berlin tonight. And they're like, who's that? And I said, okay, we got to go.
Right, right.
Now, I got a bunch of junk. I was giving Jill a bad time because she was one of the people. Because... we ended up skipping the women's show. Oh. So we could go to David Byrne.
Sure,
and all the women were like, well, where were you guys? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
But we went into this place a little smaller than Climate Pledge. A lot of surprising stuff. No ads.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Right? And he came out. This was a few tours ago. I tend to see most of his tours. He'd get done with the song and they would yell out, burn it down the house, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And finally I thought, wow, good on you.
Yeah.
He stops the show.
Yeah.
He goes, let's just stop. And he goes, I hear you. I hear the songs that you're yelling out. And he goes, I promise you they're coming. He said, but I have a few things I want to share with you before then.
Yeah.
And then he played a lot of stuff off his, whatever the new album was. And I just thought, he wasn't trying to hide the fact of, I'm going to bury my hit song.
Yeah, yeah.
Here, he's just like, they're all coming at the end.
Yeah.
Or they're all, and everybody was quiet.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to do that, you know. And he said, record all you want, take all the pictures you want, just promise me you'll post them. And again, when's the last time you had a performer kind of do that? It's
You said, so in the things that you sort of laid out, you said finding the moment together. What does that mean to you?
It sort of goes to what Paul was saying, which is if everybody gets there within a second or two of each other, then you're in this great moment. I love being on stage in a moment shared with the audience where it's like, oh, here's what's happening. You know, I don't go in with a plan. I don't go in with an agenda to say, I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Or, oh, this would be really funny when I do this.
Yeah.
It's more like, well, what wants to happen? Right.
So really that idea of discovering the scene and making sure that we're all discovering, and not me saying, hey, I discovered something, come on over here. But instead, I sort of uncover a little as someone else uncovers a little, and then we all go, hey, it looks like this, it looks like this, it looks like this, it must be a...
I would agree with everything you just said except the end.
Okay, yeah.
It's not, it must be A, it's A.
Sure, okay.
You do all the stuff and then you go, it's A.
Yeah, okay.
And I had no idea that was going to happen, but it's A, you know. And to me, that's part of having the skill set of trusting yourself. Like, I can fail well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be okay. You know, and in the end, it's improv. I tell people, well, it's improv anyway. You know, it's not brain surgery where, oops, I'll wheel in the next one. You know, it's like, you know, we'll just start over.
Yeah.
And trusting that in your own skill set. You know, I saw a guy once. I can't remember his name, but he was old. I mean, I'm sure he's long gone. But he ran the Seattle choir or something through the symphony.
Okay.
And he had retired because he was, I don't know, 90s or something like that. But he had been a piano teacher, I think was part of his thing. And the group Pink Martini, which is based out of Portland, the guy that founded that was one of his students. So he brought him on. You know, they played song. It was all fine. And then he said to the guy, he said, you know, you've been playing this instrument for 60 years or whatever. What have you learned? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, but I can make it make sounds it's not supposed to make. And they're like, well, show us, you know? And then he did it. And it was like, where's that coming from? Like, how's he doing that? And you just go, he's been doing it so long.
Yeah.
And he trusts the skill set of being able to make music that way. That he's like, I can just play.
Yeah.
And that's the starting point for what we want. And you want everybody to reach it at the same moment.
Yeah.
So I think my job, our job, is to do the training so we can take the audience on that journey because they're not trained, right? Versus, hey, watch me go on a journey. It's like, no, I'm going to take you on a journey.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use my skills because I trust my skills to get us there. Does it work? No, not all the time. I have experience where that doesn't work. But I'm still holding on to that. Because when it does work, as you know, you're touching a certain kind of magic that you just kind of go, wow, this will never happen again.
Yeah.
one of your teachings that I hold to dearly, and I think last night when I was teaching a workshop, I quoted this, which is you only need to tell 75% of the story, and you let the audience tell the other 25%, and that's how you allow them to be a scene partner.
Yeah. Well, the visual that I've come to, trademark copyright,
Yeah.
is I think improv can be about watching the one person shine. I'm going to shine. Most of the time, it's improvisers standing in a circle and an audience watching the circle going, gee, it looks like they're having fun. And if I'm not part of it, I'm not having fun. And I just kind of go, oh, it's about them and that group.
Yeah.
And now the way I teach it, the visual I use is you want to create a circle where there's spaces. So you can invite the audience and go, you, come on out of the audience and the spot's for you. And this spot, so you're part of the audience.
Yeah.
Are part of the performance. And when it's done in an ideal world, there is no audience. Everyone's participating.
Yeah.
And 25% of that story is whatever you make of it, you know? And I don't know about you, but I've encountered so many people that go, oh, when you did this and blah, blah, that's what that was about. And going, yep, that's exactly what it was about, even though, wow.
Yeah.
You know, I've done certain formats of mine, like spoken, where afterwards you ask the audience, okay, what was the story? They tell you. The story they tell me is far better than the story I had going.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it was about.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And, you know, because people want to tell stories. And sitting in an audience in the dark is even easier because there's no pressure on you. There's no light. There's no, you know, be funny. It's more like, oh, just be in the dark and let whatever story happens happen.
You talked about the 3 different times that are on stage.
Yeah.
Audience time, improviser time, and character time. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, and then there's, I don't know if you mentioned it, real time, where your life is passing.
Okay, yeah, so 4 times. Yeah.
But they're moving at different rates of speed. So the fastest time on stage is improviser time. So you think.
Sure, yeah.
Because everyone's panicked. Oh, I need to do something. I need to think of something. I need to. But you don't. It's not. Character time is the most fluid.
Yeah.
Because I can go back 50 years, you know, into the future, 100 years, right? And that counts. So I've got that fluidity to it. And what you want to do is tap into that kind of timing versus this kind of rushed improviser time that most people think they have to. This is one of the reasons why I think a lot of improvisers, mainly less trained, but I've seen lots of skilled people feel like, oh, if I'm not talking, nothing's happening. And it's like, no. When you're not talking, everything's happening, you know? And, but you have to trust that time, you know, and find ways to slow yourself down and just kind of go, okay, I'm going to slow down my time to be here. And one of the ways to do that is, okay, what does the audience want to see? I'm going to slow down to ask myself that. Because if I don't, then what I'm doing is I'm going to tell you what you're thinking, rather than go, I'm going to discover what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Those are things you can be aware of. Oh, I'm stuck in this, And a lot of improvisers don't. They like character time. They move around time too quickly.
Yeah.
That nothing gets developed. 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's like, well, okay, after a while, that gets old.
Yeah, totally.
But
and then you talked about audience time, and I remember learning it from you. The audience time is the slowest time.
Yeah, because they're sitting in the dark, no lights, no nothing, just them doing their own story.
Yeah.
In their own head. They are doing it. I'm convinced that that's what we want to do, is whether you're in a show or, this is the sitting around the campfire kind of thing. We just tell each other stories.
Yeah.
And then go, well, I like that story, or I didn't like that story, or whatever it was. But I have time to think about it, like, what, some of the shows, especially the big and stupid ones that we sometimes do, and I've come up with big and stupid shows. But my several performers, because I'm thinking like a film editor, they go, yeah, the best note you ever gave me was, don't give the audience time to think. Because if I'm doing something big and stupid, and the audience goes, wait a minute, that's not,
Yeah.
But if I don't, then they sort of plug it in.
Yeah.
It makes sense to them. They justify it for themselves. And if I can do that, I'm using their energy to help the story that wants to happen in the room.
Yeah.
And that's that goal, What I want personally, story-wise, storytelling-wise, is for the next day everybody to go, wow, I'm really glad I went and saw that. And it would not have been the same show if I had not gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if I had gone.
Yeah.
Right. Because then that makes it a unique experience. You're not reinventing. You're not just showing it. It's not like a movie where a movie doesn't care if you're there.
Yeah.
The business, the box office cares if you're there.
Yeah.
But the movie, so-and-so gives the same performance whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a growing chasm between live performance and like film AI, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, people go, and it's true. I've heard a number of people, directors, writers, performers say, well, like in 4 years, we're not going to be needed anymore. And I go, you're going to be needed on stage.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't do the play without, a live person.
Yeah.
And I just read a review. I forget I'm not going to remember anything. But you go and you sit down, and it's 4 actors sitting in chairs. They're all AI, and one of them's Ian McKellen.
Okay.
But none of them are there. But you walk in, and they're sitting there, like you think they're in the room.
Yeah.
But then things are said that you kind of go, if so-and-so was really here in this moment, they would not be saying this.
Yeah.
Is how I'm interpreting it. And I think that's true, that you have to respond to to moment to moment to moment. What's the next moment?
Yeah. You've mentioned some of the formats. You mentioned spoken. You sort of, I feel, danced around campfire a little bit. But what are some of the formats that you've made? And then, I'd just love to know some of the formats that you've made.
I've done a lot of formats. Those are big because people keep asking me lots of questions about spoken and about campfire. Mm-hmm. Like, it is improvised, but it's pretty complex. Is a show like Afterlife, where you sort of have certain beats, even though you have no idea what's going to happen, during the course of the show or during the course of that beat. But it's there. Things like topsy-turvy, shorter ones are like topsy-turvy. I mean, there's too many of them. I mean,
I know you're prolific in creating formats, truly.
Yeah. And all that comes from what we're talking about, which is, I say all the time, people go, how do you create long form? And I go, well, I always start with, what do I want the audience to experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, it goes back to that moment we've been spending the last few minutes talking about anyway, which is these people in the dark, what do I want them to do?
Yeah.
Like with Afterlife, which is all about dying and what happens after you die. I wanted the audience to sit in the dark and think about, what would I do? Or, is that true for me? Kind of thing. And I got so much, as an example, feedback from that show of people who said, well, I showed up not expecting to think about this, but I did. Yeah. Because of what the show is about. Yeah. And I was like, well, great. You weren't expecting it, and it happened. Yeah. Versus, too much of improv is about, I'm going to over-explain exactly what's going to happen. Right?
Yeah. The lack of trust in the audience.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it, They're going to make sense of it, even if it's, wrong. The example I use, which you may remember because I use it in class, which was at the Market Theater years ago, before the internet, streaming. I wanted to see Chimes at Midnight. Chimes at Midnight is Orson Welles rewriting the Henry plays, basically, or the Falstaff stuff. And it's got a great cast. And, of course, only Orson Welles would go, I'm going to rewrite Shakespeare. And so I thought, you couldn't see it anywhere. And it was out of print. So they said, well, we're going to show this movie that we can't really talk about. So it was Chimes at Midnight. So I was like, oh, this is great. So I'm watching Chimes at Midnight, and, they will... The thing I remember is they had this dinner scene. And when you first see the dinner scene, one of the spaces is empty. One of the characters is not there, dead, whatever. And then they do some other stuff, and they cut back to this dinner, and the character is there. And I thought, are they a ghost? Is it, were they there the whole time? Yeah. And I'm thinking about it, and I forget what my justification was, but I justified it. And get done with it, and there was lots of stuff like that. And I thought, wow, Orson Welles, you've done a number here. And at the end of it, the person, this was part of the film festival, came out and said, we apologize. The reels were mislabeled. So we showed the movie out of sequence. But meanwhile, while this person's saying that, it made total sense to me. I was like, oh, what a great, interesting story.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I got all of it, but, and they said, well, come back tomorrow and we'll have them in the right order. So I went back the next day and watched the actual movie, which you can see anywhere now, I think. And I still think my version was probably better. Because it's my version.
Because it's yours, yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to happen. And sure enough, in the dinner sequence, the character's missing because they're dead at that point in the story. They had just put the reel on earlier because it was labeled that way. But I was like, yeah, I'll justify it.
Yeah.
And what goes on in somebody's mind, I mean, I try not to ask people, so why did you think that? I just kind of go, what happened? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then carry on. I went to years ago to a part of this warehouse in Brooklyn, and there was a guy. It was a bunch of improvisers. And one of the guys was from Australia. And it was all these different performance pieces, small pieces. And one of them was this tray about the size of this table with some water on it. He came out in a toga and he took an egg. And he put the egg between his legs. And then he just stood there. And kind of, was giving some emotional hints and things like that. But he went on for 2 hours. And after about 10 minutes, I'm like, ugh, go do something else.
Yeah.
But there was this Australian guy, improviser, who watched the entire thing. And the big thing at the end was the guy closed his legs, the egg broke, and yolk ran down his thighs.
Yeah.
And I thought, huh. And I asked him, I said, so what'd you think? He said, oh, it was great. Because it was exactly what I was thinking about. And I was like, I'm not going to go, what are you thinking about? I'm just going to let it go. And to this day, I still don't know what he was thinking. But he watched it for 2 hours. I went around and did all this other stuff. And he didn't. He spent most of his night doing that. And so I think can be true of our work, too, as improvisers. We don't need to over-explain everything to the audience. Just do it. And like I said, whatever they make of it, you just kind of go, yeah.
It's giving the audience this permission to return to this childlike state where it's like, oh, the cloud's a bunny, the cloud's an elephant, it's this. And as adults, there's so few opportunities we have like that. And it's actively discouraged.
Right.
So what a gift that, we're creating an art form that is abstract enough but ties into the zeitgeist of the key themes in our life that we say, like, oh, this is about relationships, or this is about my job, or this is about like, this thing I experienced last week.
But we have to trust it enough to let that be. You can't go, oh, no, here's what I was thinking.
Yep.
You just got to kind of go, yep.
Yeah.
And I've learned that their story's better than mine, so I also get credit for their story too.
Yeah.
Wow, how'd you know that? Well.
Yeah. You learned the Herald from Dell, and you have really like stood as someone who continues to and find important the unstructured herald, where pretty much everywhere else is got the Truth in Comedy Chicago structured herald, or as everyone else calls it, the Herald. Right? And
Right.
and we have our Seattle Herald that I've heard it coined.
Yeah.
What is for you? What is so important about that specific type of herald, and just kind of talking about some of the origins of it? Because I know for me, I get a lot of questions from students when I'm talking about it, and they're quizzing me on it, and they don't trust the herald as you've taught me what that is. And so I'd just love to hear more, just kind of your thoughts on that.
Well, it ties into some of the stuff we're talking about now, which is let the audience make what they're going to make out of it. Mm-hmm. And don't worry about trying to explain, here's what's going to happen. We're going to do this. And, it's like when people go, we're going to do 3 scenes, and then there's going to be, and then we're going to do 3 scenes. Mm-hmm. So much of what's called the Herald worldwide comes from, I think, personal opinion, people wanting to teach it and make money from it. Mm-hmm. Mm. And you can't just go, hey, Herald's anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, you have to go, okay, no, it's 3 scenes, it's you do this. And but to me, you get so much more out of an unstructured Herald. You get closer and open up more to those possibilities of discovering something together, and if not even more so for the audience, of like, oh, here's what you were thinking about this. Here's some examples, unpacking it.
Yeah.
Versus a structured herald where I find, sometimes have to be, where are we? What are we doing? That kind of thing.
Are we in 2B or are we in 3B? Right, yeah.
And, I found as a teacher, when I first started teaching herald, I would teach the structured herald because I thought, oh, well, I'll teach them a structured herald, and then take the structure away and it'll be perfect. Yeah. Once you give them the structure, it's not going away.
Yeah.
And you're like, lose the structure. And it's like, And I had a group of improvisers in another country who were doing, and they couldn't do an unstructured herald. So I thought, well, I'll teach him a structured herald. And so I didn't say, here's the rules to the structured herald. I just said, bring stuff back, and, I was pretty loose with it. And I got done, and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's perfect. And they were like, okay, so we start with 2 people, and we do, and I'm like, because it can be anything. I mean, even what we do as a Seattle Herald has certain, like with the static radar walk, trying to get away from that is impossible because people don't trust it. That, your audience is playing along with you.
Yeah.
You say something, I sit in the dark and go, oh, what if he's thinking about that? Or that makes me think of this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you do something later on that touches upon that, it's like magic. It's like, wow, how'd you know that's what I was thinking?
Yeah.
But if you tell me what's going to happen, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I often say, unfortunately, well, in some cases, fortunately, I suppose, some formats, you're sort of, as an improviser, like a stage magician. Mm-hmm. You say, okay, I'm going to make these cards disappear. And they're gone. And you go, oh, how did he make those cards? How did he do exactly what he said he was going to do?
Yeah.
You know? And I think we operate too often like that as improvisers. We tell the audience, okay, here's our trick. Mm-hmm. And then we do the trick and go, see? Mm-hmm. See the trick there? Yeah. And the audience goes, you know, if it's entertaining and you've got entertaining performers, you go, yeah, it was really funny. Mm-hmm. You're not going to remember it the next day, but yeah, that was funny. If it's not funny, you're just like, what was that? Like, what the hell is that? Mm-hmm. You know, like I think people are afraid of heralds because they have bad experiences doing heralds. Mm-hmm. Versus figuring out, okay, why am I having a bad experience? Mm-hmm. Why do I keep having a bad experience doing herald? And how do I correct that? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's just anything can go in the herald. You know, there are no rules. That's why when I teach a herald, the unstructured herald, the Seattle Herald, you know, I go, well, there are 3 parts. Because the goals are different. So the opening is brainstorming, basically, allowing it to fall out of your head. The middle part, which is the long part, is the unpacking. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take these things I just said in the beginning, and I'm going to unpack them. And the third thing I'm going to do, which is the shortest thing usually, is try to label it all and kind of go, wow, we did all this work. Here's what I'm going home with. Mm-hmm. Or here's what I'm going to think about.
Yeah.
And your goal is different. So to me, if the goal changes, then you have a different part. But it's not about, you know, do 2 scenes and then monologue and then, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and so your opener, you talk about brainstorming, letting things just sort of, it's that like discovering what are all the associations that we have and who are the characters that are found and finding whatever the word is, that suggestion that you get from the audience, like finding it in your body, finding it in your thoughts, finding it sort of in the environment, like what's between us. So sort of exercise. I remember working with you and being asked to not just find, you know, if you're doing a box herald or, you know, you're doing a ladle herald or a stew herald, right? Like not only is like how does stew sit in your body as like a character, but also how does it sit between us, right? How do we collectively sort of feel like a stew versus a ladle versus a box, right?
Right.
But then the body of the herald or that middle part is filled with game scenes, monologues, and transitions. And those are all things that are discovered from the beginning.
Right.
And then your conclusion to your herald is sort of after we've said and done and explored all these things, it's sort of what has risen to the top.
Right.
And I think the layer of why to do an unstructured herald that I think for me the most moving is this idea of whatever word we get from the audience, that herald will ask us to make a new format. That if we're listening carefully enough, that the word will present a format and a structure that we discover.
Right.
And that your stew should be different than your box, should be different than a ladle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, ideally in a perfect world, the piece would just be called stew.
Yeah.
You know, it'd have a different name every night. Dell, I'm pretty sure, was it Dell? Used to say, it's not called herald to label it or to define it. Mm-hmm. Sorry. It's called a herald to label it in the order that it's coming in the show. Mm-hmm. So you go, oh, now we're going to do this herald thing. But it's not herald, you know, herald isn't something. Mm-hmm. And so when I teach herald, I always say, okay, we're going to do a stew herald, emphasis on the word stew.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it different than herald. If you do a structured herald every single time, and I think we've all seen those groups where you see like 4 groups and they do a herald, a structured herald, and you just kind of, again?
Yeah.
Same thing over again,
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, that's not organic. That's not, you're following the structure. You're not following the word.
Yeah.
Or what the word is offering you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like oftentimes when I see a structured herald done poorly, it feels like such like a stumbling over mechanics. And when I see an unstructured herald done poorly, I feel like the flavor profile I get after that is like I just watched a montage. And
Right.
and the difference for me is that in the structured herald, it's so focused on almost game and like I was mentioning, mechanic, and it's this idea of looking at the format and trying to check all the boxes. And it's Susan Messing's. I love what she taught in a workshop. She says, in improv, we're afraid to fuck up the things that we've learned. And I feel like the structured herald is such a stumbling block in that way of like, well, I need to do it the right way. And the unstructured herald, when we don't do it the right way, what I feel like is, I just feel like we forgot to commit to the word, and we forgot to just listen. And it becomes kind of this idea of like, well, I don't know what's happening, so I'm just going to go out and I'm going to make, and I'm going to showboat, and I'm gonna, instead of, hold on, let's take a step back and
Right.
let's just listen to what did we already put in that beginning, and let's just do some authentic things and just have in the back of our head. And if there's one thing I feel like I gleaned from learning the herald from you, it's always having in the back of your head whatever that suggestion is, and just going, are we doing this? Are we doing this?
Right.
And allowing that to be that North Star to guide the format.
Yeah. Let it drive. It will.
Yeah. I want to, because you have had such an impact just to improv in general, what are some of the companies that from Unexpected have like been born because of Unexpected that at least you know of, or you can sort of attest to?
Well, there are a lot of local groups, probably internationally or outside of Seattle. Like I mentioned before, the West Coast tradition, although you have Vancouver, but you've got Seattle gives birth to San Francisco to LA, and everyone's kind of along the same lines.
In that family tree.
Yeah.
Was Portland before San Francisco or after or
It was-
alongside? I mean, I know it's also
yeah.
it's also like it's hard to tell. It's not like there's epochs in that, but there's,
It was technically both. I mean, it became popular or more known after San Francisco. But, there were groups, the Parkers, D'Amica's parents, had a group for years that just did shows in Portland. And it's like, oh, I would see them once in a while, but I mean, they weren't trying to get out there and everyone know us. They would just do their show and do what they did. And then there became a scene in Portland, but all that happened after San Francisco.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Scott and Victoria's group, and I'm sure there was, but I was not familiar with them. Other groups in Portland at that time.
Yeah.
Those groups came later.
Yeah. Rebecca Stockley went down, and did she help found Bay Area Theater Sports? That's Bats now? Okay. So she came from
her
Unexpected.
Paul, Richard Dupel, who was a San Francisco improviser, a couple of other San Francisco, I think it was William Hall, who else was around? Drew Letchworth was around at that time. And they just sort of clung together. All those guys were in a different group, which was also a really good group.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. They were a good group who picked up on Johnstone. They didn't become a good group because of Johnstone. But
Okay, yeah.
but
And then they helped create LA Theater Sports.
well,
But was Dell
Yeah.
doing work there beforehand? Was the Compass?
committee.
The committee.
Yeah.
They were there before that? Before Bay
Oh,
Area?
oh, yeah.
For Bats? Okay. So LA had its own kind of improv scene that was a little more Chicago influenced.
Well, the committee was, it had Chicago fingerprints all over it. And there was a group in San Francisco and a group in LA that were all part of the committee. But one of the committee's driving forces, it seemed, was to kind of comment and or try to stop the Vietnam War, which, where's that now?
Yeah.
To try to stop anything. And, again, a bunch of really talented people. And it was perfect timing. I mean, it was in the late 60s that the committee came into being. And I think the San Francisco committee came up before the LA committee, but they had people would go from one to the other and back and forth. But they weren't, and they had a lot of Chicago influence because there were a lot of people from Chicago who came out and did it. They weren't Johnstown based or driven that much. And I would say even the Chicago thing was not running everything.
Sure.
It was just an influence on Alan Meyerson and other people.
Going back to some of the other companies, I understand the Blue Door out in Spokane, that originally was an offshoot of Unexpected?
Yeah. Mark Robbins, he moved from Seattle to Spokane and wanted to start his own variation on UP. He came to me when he lived in Seattle and said, "I want to be in your company." And I had not heard of him, I was like, okay, whatever, audition or take classes. And we got in this discussion about him not being in UP and him coming to me and kind of going, "No, you don't understand. I have to do this. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck working in some other group in Seattle." And I thought, and eventually he got it, and he was good. And he moved to Spokane, started a group out of which certain improvisers, Billy Tierney, who I think is still around. He came out of Spokane, I believe. People like that. And they did pretty well. I think they stopped because Mark was kind of the one having to run everything and got tired of, started having kids. And I don't want to do this. So, we've had some groups like that. We had a group in Tacoma for a while. Stuff like that, but nothing ever really took off.
And then what about your work in Europe? You wrote a book, and my understanding is that it's in German.
It's in German and Slovenian, and it was coming out in Swedish and Japanese, but I don't know whatever happened with that. I mean, everybody has got a book.
Sure,
And I didn't write a book going, "I want to write a book." I was approached and they said, "Will you write a book?" And I was like, "Okay."
Sure.
But all that came a little bit later. What happened was, well, two things about around the European thing. And the initial thing that happened was I was getting invited to teach and then direct in Europe. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, bring good people. Mm-hmm. And so at the, time, UP people were the best people I knew. So I was taking UP people around. So I was getting invited and I was taking UP people with me. And then at one point, I think it was for the World Cup in Germany, they were like, we want to invite you to bring a group, but no UP. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay. Mm-hmm. So I took Dan O'Connor was one of those people. Okay. And then the book came out of me going to these different cities and people going, oh, there's this guy who's looking for you. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, what did I do?
What did I do? Yeah.
And finally, he lived in Munich. I was in Munich. He was in Munich. Mm-hmm. For a long time, we were passing. I'd go to Munich, he'd be gone. And we met. And he was, you don't remember me? Mm. And I'm like, no. And he said, I took one of your workshops years before.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I didn't realize about Europe was there was really no long form. I thought there was.
Okay. Oh, okay. Huh.
But I became known as the man who brought long form to Europe. And when I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, there really wasn't any long form. And I was like,
okay.
So he said, I took your workshop and I saw a bunch of shows that you did. And he said, I went around and saw a bunch of teachers, North American teachers in Europe, because we wanted it in English. Mm-hmm. And he wanted it for sort of middle-level improvisers. Okay. So not extreme advanced level, but also not a beginning improv book. And he said, yeah, I went around and I took a number of workshops, people who came to Europe. He said, I went to the U.S. and Canada and saw a bunch of teachers.
Yeah.
And then he said, and I'd see their show or whatever. And he said, yours was the only shows and workshops I went to where I could see from taking the workshop, and then I would see the show and go, oh, I see how you get from the workshop to the show. He said, everyone else is talking about something, but they're doing something else.
Yeah.
And I was like, well... So then he asked me, would you be willing to write this book? And I thought, thinking, oh, yeah, sure. After some thought, not realizing that, writing a book is hell. Yeah. For me, at least. Mm-hmm. And that's how the book came along, was then he said, well, we'll put it out to these improvisers. And so that's what happened. Yeah. So there were a lot of people who came, and then they wanted to translate it into Slovene. And then I heard from Japan, they're like, we want to do a Japanese version. I was like, great, And I was totally the school of, yeah, if you want to do it, I'll talk to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I don't care enough about having a book. Yeah. And this was before everybody and their brother or sister had a book.
Had an improv book out, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote the book. Mm-hmm. that became, they talked to me about doing a second book, but I was like, I mean, where I left it, and I actually think that publisher, his company, has since was bought out by some bigger company. And where I left it was, I'll write another book. And then I wouldn't hear anything. I'd be like,
easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, my experience, as I'm sure your experience is as well, is you don't get the same stuff out of a book that you get from the person in the room. And it's like, oh, what you're talking about, something different than what you wrote, or at least the way I'm interpreting it. So would I write another book? I've thought about writing and have been approached about writing a book of my forms, or some of my forms. Some of my forms don't deserve to be in a book. If nothing else, for that reason of like, here's a complete picture.
Yeah.
Take it, leave it.
Yeah.
Not even providing commentary, not even going, here's what you should think about in doing the form. Maybe at the beginning, kind of going, here's what story is about, here's what all the things we're talking about are.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go into these forms and tell you why created these forms. But I'm also not there either. I found myself, at least, and maybe it's different. It is different for other people. By the time I got towards the end of my book, I mean, I was so sick of my ideas,
Yeah.
And they would go, well, do one more draft and work with and I would be like, okay.
Fine, I'll do one more for you. Yeah.
And it ended up being okay, but I was so done.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like, well, do I want to do that with these forms? Do I want to write so in depth about them that I get sick of them? Tired of them. Never quite been there.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I didn't set out to write a book in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. When we had Jill on, she talked about, or I asked her a little bit, and she talked some about the Orcas Island project. What was the heart behind creating that? What was the Orcas Island project, and what was sort of the heart behind creating that?
The Orcas Island project was a group of improvisers. I forget what the exact numbers were, 11 or 12 people from 10 countries or something like that, but from all over. And it started because I kept seeing people who were really good, and for the most part were just really good. In some cases, were really good when they were in Seattle, or out of their shell.
Yeah.
But you'd go see them in their hometown, you'd be like, what? And so what I did was I began to just invite people I wanted. I thought, well, this would be a good person. This would be a good person. And that's kind of how it started. And then we got, for a long period of time where we were just working on stuff, formats of mine, as well as just rehearsing, discovering stuff as well. And then everybody just got busy. And then, and I think about doing it with that group again. I don't know what everybody's doing. So part of me also goes, well, maybe it's reinvent, maybe invite a new group and do it that way. And then part of me is like, maybe I should just leave it alone.
Yeah, maybe I don't need to make a second
Yeah,
book. Yeah.
Yeah, and but the goal, the Orcas Island project, was a couple things. One is a lot of what we've been talking about in terms of the interaction with the audience, what's going on in the moment, what's going on in the room, and allowing that to sort of come out through discovery and finding it together with people that you trust. I mean, and these were international improvisers, but I mean, I've known them all for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And so that helped with it. The second part, which is a little more subtle, maybe not, is doing what I think improv should do, which is trying to bring theater back into it. That it's not just people on stage making stuff up, that there's actual, metaphor, story, blah, blah, going on.
Yeah.
And checking into that. I mean, again, it was fairly easy with Orcas Island because most everybody was a theater person anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I go and I think, well, maybe we'll do one, like a weekend, and just call it a day. Just, we're going to do this weekend.
Yeah.
And it's over, and then we're done. But I haven't decided about that. Yeah. I mean, I talked to a lot of the Orcas Island people, and they're all wanting to do it.
I'm sure.
But again, it's, oh, well, do I want to organize it? Do I want to?
Yeah.
And so there's that part of it as well. As far as the people, they're great. I mean, great teachers, great performers, and pretty much everybody gets along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Yeah. So important.
Yeah.
So as we are sort of wrapping on up, I would love, as we're looking towards the future of improv and just sort of the next steps and the next, chapters of improv, what would you like to see change or grow in the art form of improv?
Well, I think in the times that we're living in, the thing I miss the most in improv, which I kind of already mentioned, but put it in a different way, is I think it's about bringing back, it's not about introducing, but about bringing back improv being about something. Where you do a show and you go, yeah, we're trying to stop the war. Are we going to stop the war? No.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we can't try. Right? Versus let's not even try.
Yeah.
Or again, with that emphasis on performance, that idea of how do I take this and turn it into a TV career, a writing career, or whatever. And that's a lot of the Chicago, LA, New York influence, where I think the work is solid performer-wise. But I always tell students, I said, if you want to see more interesting improv, go to these smaller cities, Austin, Atlanta. I said, because people aren't doing it to try to be on TV or to get a writing gig. They're doing it because they love improv.
Yeah.
And I think that leads or feeds that idea that improv can be about something. That I would want the audience to go, oh, that was about, it doesn't have to be life-changing, Like when I think about afterlife, and afterlife being about death and how you die, we're not stopping the world and making everything different. But we're making people think about stuff
Yeah.
and go, well, people could think about stuff a little more often. And we don't give them, we as improvisers don't give the audience enough space, enough time, enough trust that we can go, oh, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
You know. So I would like to see more of that brought in, but it takes, one, a lot of improv skill, learning a lot of improv skill, but also a lot of the ways of the world, being aware of like what's going on, like what's happening in the world. Why are we doing that? You know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which again, I think an audience would really pick up on, but we don't give them enough space to do it.
Yeah.
That would probably be one. Two is I wish there was more trying to think of the word, maybe concise training that happened where things are feeding into each other all the time. I see groups everywhere where I kind of go, wait a minute, you're teaching the beginning level, but you're teaching, and you don't know what this person's and you don't know.
Yes.
And it's like, let's get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Again, you don't have to like it. Oh, I don't like what Chaz is doing, but I know what he does.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, I don't like what Chaz is doing, so I'm just going to do my own thing and not worry about what Chaz is doing. So I wish there was a little more of that because, the other group I talk to a lot is Improv Anonymous. That was with the UP. And people are like, oh, wouldn't it be great to do that? It was this long form group. And we would get together and rehearse for about an hour and a half and then do a show. That was not about the rehearsal. Usually we were doing a different show. But people showed up. And everyone's like, oh, we should do that again. We should blah, blah, blah. If you could do that. And I go, well, do you have 7 years to meet on a weekly basis? To go, because that's what it took.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not going to happen. Here are the 3 things you need to know.
Yeah.
And so I wish there was a little more cohesion there amongst the groups themselves, the performers. Like, I'm curious at UP, for instance, even sitting people down and going, tell me what theater sports is about. What kind of, everybody would have a different answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, we should know what those different answers are, but have an answer for ourselves. So those things I wish, and they're not new. It's bringing them back. It's not like, oh, I want to introduce this, I want to introduce that. It's like, no, I want to bring this back. Kind of thing. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Well, Randy, thank you so much for being on Cascade Improv. It is such a blessing and just such an honor. Like, the longer I am an improviser, the deeper my appreciation for the things that I got to learn directly from you. And just, I was 17 and 18 when I was learning from you, and my whole entire improv career, you as my artistic director after being a teacher, I realized how much I took for granted the learning that I got from you, and now getting to just like really continue to unpack just these wise teachings from you. And I cannot thank you enough. And truly, you've made me into an artist that I would not be without you. And so, thank you, Randy.
Well, thank you very much. That's a big compliment. So, That's great. And yeah, this was interesting and fun. So we'll do it again sometime. I'd be up for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you want to bring Paul and I out for any workshops or anything, or if you want to be on the podcast, then feel free to email us at cascadeimprovpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
You'll never have to look back now. Ooh, yeah.
The Cascade Improv Podcast is produced by Paul Furio and Chaz Kaskis. Musical backing is provided by Anomi Bell, whose music can be found online at anomibell.bandcamp.com.